These are some of the world's most unique dice sent to me from the company Unique Dice. They did send me these products, but they have no say in the production of this video. So let's take a look. So let's start with this Omni dice. It's supposedly a 15-in-1 D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, D20 and percentage dice all here, which is actually only, what, a 7 or 8-in-1. So I do wonder what makes it 15-in-1. But you just choose the side you want. Each side is a different die, then you shake it. And the little balls on here will land on a number. The whole point of this die is just to be one dice that does everything. And you don't have to worry about carrying full sets around with you. And there's also many multicolored balls in here. So you can use it for things like advantage or disadvantage, each colored ball being a different dice roll. And in fact, the D6 die actually has multiple balls. So I guess you can kind of roll multiple D6 at once. And this thing does exactly what it says on the tin, but it is heavy. This thing packs some weight, making it much heavier than carrying around a normal set of dice. Just something to bear in mind. It's also really tempting to just roll this like a normal D6 on this table. I wouldn't gain anything from it and I'd probably end up damaging both the table and the dice, but I want to do it. This also has quite a premium feel to it. I'm not sure if it's the weight, the smoothness, or this kind of, I'm not sure if it's plastic or glass at the top here. It's gotta be plastic, but it feels nice to hold. And it also comes in different colors than this. You see, I'm not a huge fan of this color, and since I'm basing my opinions on what I have here in front of me and comparing it to other dice in this video, this is probably a 7 out of 10, though I have no doubt getting it in a different color would have bumped it up to an 8. So it really is just a personal aesthetic opinion. It's also quite loud. I don't know if you can hear that, but I guess no louder than just rolling actual dice. Now onto the Pioneer dice that come in this really cool metal tin. This is a more traditional dice set, as far as it being a set of 7 dice goes, but really what stands out here is the shape and vibe of them. These are all sci-fi dice. They are Mars settlement themed, which I honestly love, because TTRPG dice like this tend to often just be fantasy themed, so it's nice to get some sci-fi love. They are apparently created with a solid and durable zinc alloy casting and are hand painted, and I gotta say, pretty cool. Every one of these is a different shape and you kind of roll them in different ways. For example, the D20 and the D6 are spinny tops, so is the D10. Then the other dice are all just rollable guys, but they're all really interesting shapes. So the D4 is shaped like a rocket. I rolled a 2, it's whichever number is facing the top, and that's the same for all these other ones. But I have to say, I'm not very good at spinning the D20 as good as it is. Actually, that one's pretty good. Sounds like it was damaging my table, and they can take a while to stop. However, what I really like about these dice is that they also would make really good terrain pieces on a battle map. Like, look at these. This could easily be an explosive barrel that if the players hit, they then get to roll the barrel to see how much damage it does. I think these are actually top tier for me because they are incredibly unique looking, but they are also a set of traditional dice, kind of. So 8 out of 10. The wand dice. I won't spend too long talking about this, since I've talked about it in a previous video, but I do love this wand dice. It has different parts that spin, and each one is a different die. It's another all-in-one set, and it really works. And not to mention, it's incredibly cool looking. It can also be used as a D&D prop in your campaigns that you can just give out and get your players to use, to roll for random effects. And I mean, an 8 out of 10 just for looking so incredibly cool. And since I bought one for the last video and this one was sent to me, I now have 2, meaning me and my friend can have Harry Potter style imaginary jewels. Lumos! And the best dice of all, Describe. Okay, Describe is not a die. It's actually the sponsor of this video. It's a really useful resource for tabletop RPGs and does a bunch of stuff that makes prep time easier and more immersive. It has over 14,000 vibrant descriptions, immersive soundscapes crafted by any award-winning composers, and interactive maps that help you create a richer world in less time. Honestly, the maps are so cool, allowing you to click on different areas and getting more information about what is going on. They also have their web app, Opus, which allows you to stream AI-free music, ambience, and sound effects directly through your browser or Discord. Super easy to set up and use, and it will change your game for the better. Check out Describe in the link in the description. You will not be disappointed, and you'll be supporting this channel, so thank you. Oh my god, why did I kneel like that for that? Next up is the roulette dice. And this one kind of reminds me of a Doctor Who prop. It's got great steampunk vibes that could easily fit into both a sci-fi or fantasy world. And it is super easy to use. Down the side here, you have 3 numbers that say D20, D10, D8. And on the other side, same thing, but D12, D6, D4. And there's a part just at the bottom here that you can literally just spin and it rolls a random number in each of those slots. So it is probably better to do this lay down just because the numbers can shift with your weight. The best thing about this that's better than other dice in this video is the fact that when you do spin it, it has resistance that slows it down and it stops pretty damn fast, so there's not much waiting around. It also comes in a bunch of different colors too. So I'm not a huge fan of this color, but there is a bronze and a silver one that I think look really cool. This is also one of the only dice in this video that feels like it's genuinely just made to pick up and be thrown in your pocket willy-nilly. It's small and slim enough to honestly just grab and go. I have very few complaints about this, except the color of this one, so I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Now, before we get into some truly weird, unique dice, let's talk about the most standard set on this list, the undead dice. This is a very traditional set of dice, but their uniqueness comes from their quality and their design. These things look and feel incredibly cool. They are metal and they are hefty. They feel like tiny cannonballs, but this is a good or bad thing depending on how you feel about metal dice in general. I would not want to roll these on a naked table because it would definitely do damage. But rolled into a dice tray, these guys are really satisfying. Are they unique enough compared to the rest of the dice in this video? I don't think so. So I'm going to be a little harsh on them and give them a 6 out of 10. But they'd get much higher if this was any other kind of video. They really are awesome to look at and hold. Okay, so now on to some truly unique dice. This is known as the Random King dice. It came with 2 of these roulette wheels. Like the roulette dice that came before, there are 3 sets of dice on each one marked. So a D12, a D8, and a D6 on this one, I believe, and then a D20, a D10, and a D4 on this one. You also get this little container of small ball bearings. And the idea is that you unscrew this, grab a ball out, set one of these spinning, and drop the ball in. And then I would stop it yourself just because it can take a while to stop. And whatever it lands on is the number you get. So depending on what I rolled here, if I rolled the D4, I would have got a 1. If I rolled the D10, I would have got a 10. And if I had rolled a, oh, look at that, a D20, I would have got a nat 20. That means you have to subscribe. I didn't make that rule. The other side of it is as well that there are different sized ball bearings in here and different colored ones. So if you wanted to drop 2 in and see which one was advantage or disadvantage, for example, you can. The only real problem with this, and this might just be a me thing, but these tiny ball bearings are quite easy to lose. In fact, I ended up dropping this whole container when I looked at these on a live stream, and they went all over my floor. Now, that was user operator error, to be honest, because I tried putting every single ball bearing into one of these roulettes at the same time, but it's something to bear in mind. These are small, and I have cats, you know, and I could eat them and do all sorts. So getting all them back up and in here, very annoying. So for clumsy people out there like me, it's not the most optimal situation and just something to bear in mind. All that aside, I do think that these are some of the most unique dice sets I've ever seen, and I've got a lot of time for it. This would have got a 9 out of 10, except for the tiny ball situation. So instead, it's getting an 8 out of 10. But what great dice if you're running some kind of game in a casino, or if your character's like a gambler or something like that. Should also be said, and I can't believe I just noticed this, but the decoration of this is incredibly cool. There's different types, but this one is kind of like a Cthulhu style thing. But look, the back of it spins separately to the front of it. So, just a cool thing. I wonder if there's a point to that, but they're actually, okay, these are just fun to play with. Get them away from me. Hey guys, Phil from the future here. I was actually more of an idiot than I thought initially, and I already thought I was an idiot. But with these dice, you can actually screw the top off like this, and then put the ball bearings inside where they can't fall out. So I would suggest doing that. It's way better. I've put a big silver one in here for normal, and a smaller bronze one, so I can roll with advantage and disadvantage, and it's just 1,000 times easier, and I actually want to like give these a better score, so my bad. And the next set of dice is the Metal Bullet dice set. And just look at this thing. Now, before you get too excited, this is mostly just the dice holder. The dice themselves, and I've put these in here beforehand. Let's see if I can get it open easily. So it is kind of finicky to open. That's definitely going to affect the score. But the dice themselves are these bullets that go inside the dice holder. Each one has a number on the end showing what dice it is. So this is a D20 because there's a 20 on the end. And then there's numbers on the sides of here so that when you just roll it, I guess on a flat surface would be better, but that is a 14. But like a lot of dice in this video, this set would look really cool on a shelf, like it's a beautiful decoration piece, but I don't think people will be rolling these as dice very often. Like everything in this video, these things are closer to collector pieces. They are aesthetic decorations, and none of them quite as much as this revolver. That being said, if I were to roll them, this would be a really nice just fidget spinner on the table. It's a very cool thing to mess around with. And oh my God, even if I'm underwhelmed by the actual rolling of the dice themselves, this thing is so beautiful to look at. It is a pity that the opening and closing it is a little finicky. It's doing it now that I'm filming on camera. Nope, there we go. It gets stuck. So, I mean, I was about to give this a 9 out of 10 on looks alone, but since it is finicky, as well as the fact that I probably wouldn't actually roll these as dice that often, I gotta bump it down to an 8 out of 10. Now let's talk about price real quick. Most of these dice come in at around 60 to 90 bucks, with the more traditional undead dice coming in at the cheapest, 40 bucks. In my opinion, these prices are not that bad at all. I think every dice I've shown in this video at least feels incredibly well made, and they all look fantastic. I think the closest comparable kind of dice to these would be like gemstone dice. Dice you buy for the premium quality and for the looks. And let's face it, dice you probably won't be rolling that much. And gemstone dice like that can run north of $100 really easily. So with that in mind, I would say all these are well worth the price, though I'll have to see how they stand the test of time over the coming months. Okay, that's distracting. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, consider becoming a Patreon member. And not just for no reason either. I'm actually working on a book of 1,000 DM tips. Each tip is just a sentence or two long, and the whole point of it is to be a book that I can flick through and learn and just get inspiration from. Think of it like the Dungeon Master's Guide, but for people with really low attention spans, like me. And I've seen my audience retention rates too, so I know you also have really low attention spans, and I love you for it. Saying that also means that none of you are going to be watching this video to the end and seeing any of this, so this is really bad placement for my Patreon ad. But right now, the book of 1,000 tips is just a book of 100 tips, but it's there to download for Patreon members. And I'm going to be adding more and more tips every month. So check it out, and thank you for watching.